All right. I don't have the time today to look at our reference sheets and convert all these degrees into radians and back and forth. So I just want to review the quick ones, the popular ones. 30 degrees. Gotta do more. Do more of it. 12, 30 degrees. Pi over. What is it? Pi over. Who's got 12? Sorry, Sydney. Pi over 6. 6. Again, guys, a trick to remember to help you out with this. Let's go right to number 5 here. What's 180? Pi. So anytime you put pi in, you're putting 180 in. So you can really think of it as 180 pi divided by what gives you 30. 45. What do you got? 45. 45. Pi over 4. Pi over 4. 60 degrees. Try that again. 10. Pi over 3. 90 degrees. Pi over 1. Pi over 2. All right, now we're starting to get on the quadrantal angle. So I got 90, 180. Let's go to 270. 270. 8. 3 pi over 2. And how about 360? 361. 2 pi. Okay, we're all good? Again, is it necessary to memorize these? No, it's not. But I just think it makes life a heck of a lot easier since we use them over and over and over again. It makes it go quicker. But if you need to get out the reference sheet, multiply by 180 over pi, cross out the pi's and go, it's your call. All right, unit circle now. 30 degrees. What's my point at the on the unit circle? At 30 probably should be the only point on the unit circle you memorize. 30 degrees, the point. 2. Good job. 45 should both be the same coordinates, remember, and those coordinates are 8. Yep, good. And then 60, I'm not even going to ask anybody, we just flip 30. And you got 60, which is 1/2 radical 3 over 2. I don't have time to go over it now, but we should also know these points on the quadrantal angles. All right. And then lastly, from Friday, if I want to know the cosine or the sine value, which coordinate do I pluck off of these? So if I want to know the cosine value, which coordinate do I pluck off? 8, x coordinate. And if I want to know the sine value, I pluck off the y coordinate from the points.
What about tangent?
We're not there yet. You got to get good at this, boss. All right, and then I'll let you sniff a little tangent. Okay, I'll give you a little taste. All right, but for now, you got to get good at cosine and sine. Questions? All right, guys, all I'm doing is moving up the mountain here. All right, you guys are slowly learning about the unit circle. Now, on Friday, we stayed right here. That was where we lived, right here. Now we're going to go any quadrant we want today and find the cosine and sine of any of these angles. Let's roll. What I want to do first with you, if I'm in this quadrant, is sine or cosine positive or negative? That's what I want to do. I'm in quadrant 2. What do I know about all the sine values in quadrant 2? All right. So first, remind me again, sine is what coordinate? 5. Sine is which coordinate do I take? The y coordinate. So let's remember that. And cosine, I'm taking the x coordinate. All right, everybody, let's remind ourselves of the quadrants. I am in quadrant 1 right now. I am in quadrant 1. What do you know about the signs on the x's and the y values on quadrant 1? X's and y's are, and I'm saying positive or negative. That's what I want to know. All right, what do you know about the x's and the y's in the first quadrant? 9?
Positive.
They're both positive. So guess what that means? Any angle in the first quadrant will have a sine that is positive and a cosine that is positive. If you don't believe me, 13. Pick an angle in the first quadrant for me. Anybody got 13? No 13? Even though I think everybody's here today, but okay. 10. Any angle in the first.
1, 1. Oh, angle.
Angle. Give me an angle in the first.
45.
Give me another one. Not one of the typical ones we do.
52.
Okay, ready? Everyone take a look at my calculator right now. Sine 52. See how it's positive? And cosine 52. See how it's positive? That's what I mean when I put the pluses there. All right? Quad 2 now. Let's go to quad 2. What do you know about the x's and the y's in quadrant right here? Right here, quadrant 2. Uh, 11. Tell me something about the x's in quadrant 2.
Positive or negative?
Negative. So guess what? Any cosine value in the second quadrant will be negative. And what about the y's?
Positive.
So that means any sine. Give me an angle in quadrant 2, just so I can show you what all this means. Give me an angle in quadrant 2. 11. Go ahead again.
128.
Okay, everyone, ready? If I do cosine 128, see what I mean by negative. Why we're putting a negative sign in your chart now. And then this is the last time I'll do it, but sine 128, see I'm putting positive. Okay? So that's why that's what the pluses and the minuses mean here. All right, quad 3. Let's keep going. Quad 3. Tell me something about the x's and y's in quad 3. 12. Quad 3. And both are negative in the third. Everyone agree? So guess what? Sine and cosine are both negative in the third. And then fourth quadrant, right here, fourth quadrant. Tell me something about the x's and the y's in the fourth. 8.
Y is negative, x is positive.
Y's are negative, so that means y's are negative. So sine will be negative, and the x's are positive, so cosine will be positive. All right, do I expect you to memorize this chart where everything's positive or negative? No, I'm going to give you a little device now that helps you out. All right, here's my device. Draw yourself all 4 quadrants for me. And this will help you guys figure out what's positive and where. In the first quadrant, put an A for me. Put an A in the first. I'll tell you what all it represents in a minute. In the second quadrant, put an S. Third quadrant, put a T. And in the fourth, put a C. All students take classes. That's how you can remember the order if you want to remember that phrase. All students take classes, or your own phrase. All right, appropriate or not, some years I get. All students take classes. Now, why am I having you set this up? The A in the first means all, everything. All things are positive in the first quadrant. Take a wild guess what the S means. What's positive in the second? Only sine, and everything else negative. Sine is positive in the second, everything else negative. T, we haven't gotten there yet, but we will. Tangent is positive in the third, everything else negative. And then finally C, 4. What we've been talking about at the beginning, the C. Cosine is positive in the fourth, everything else negative. All right? So that's what all students take classes represents. What you can look at this and figure out where everything is positive and the rest is negative. All right, let's apply it. Here we go. Number 1, that's 2 parts. Tell me the quadrant we're in. Should be easy for you guys. Tell me the quadrant and tell me if this value is going to be positive or negative. And I'm going to, whoa. All right, if you need to use your calculators, fine. Pi over 3. I don't have time to convert. Pi over 3. 60 times 2. 120. So this is, if I rewrote this in degrees, sine of negative 120. All right, first thing, quadrant. You do what you got to do. If you got to add 360, add 360 to it. I don't care. All right? Or if you can tell what quad we're in. I'm not asking you to graph it. So negative 120, what quadrant are we in? 13 when you're ready. What quad?
I'll do it. We are in quadrant. Three.
3. And we're doing sine. Go to quadrant 3. What do we know? Tangent's the only thing positive. So will sine in quadrant 3 be negative or positive here? Sine in quadrant 3. 2? It should be negative because, again, the T stands for tangent is only positive. The rest of them are negative. So this is negative. And yeah, I get it. You can just go on your calculator and type it in and figure out it's going to be negative. But you can't cheat on the next couple on 11 and 12. Cosine 117, quadrant. 5, quadrant.
Oh, the second.
Second. Cosine, positive or negative in the second. Cosine, positive or negative. 11?
Negative.
Negative in the second quadrant. So my answer is going to be negative. All right. Any issues yet? Sine a negative 87. Do what you got to do with it to tell me the quad. You do what you got to do. If you can do it without adding 360, fine. If you have to, add it. Negative 87. Where are we looking at? 9?
Negative.
No, I just want quad. Quad.
First quad.
Positive 87 is in the first. Negative 87 is not.
Oh, wait. Third.
Third.
Fourth.
What'd-
Plus 360.
Yeah, what'd you get?
273.
273. That would put it where?
Fourth.
Fourth quadrant. What do you know about sine in the fourth quadrant? Sine in the fourth. Is it positive or negative? 14.
Negative.
Negative. Okay, 460. Do what you got to do to it. Do what you got to do. Sine of 460. 7, what quad you in? Now here, thanks. 14, what quad?
2.
2. And what do we know about sine in the second quadrant? Sine in the second quadrant. 2. Positive. Good. Everyone all right? How I'm getting the chart? S stands for sine. Sine's positive in the second. And what about cosine pi over 6? That's the same as cosine 30. I'll ask it, but I don't know why I am. What quadrant are we in? 7? Thanks again. 13, what quad? That's a no. Yeah. This is fun. 9?
First.
First. And anytime you say the first, I don't care what I put here, it's always positive. Any issues? Now you can't use your calculator to tell me if it's positive or negative coming up. Won't help you. All right. Name the quadrant I'm in. This is the goal here. Name the quadrant you're in. If cosine greater than 0. That's just a fancy way of me saying what? Greater than 0.
Positive.
It's positive, yeah. So you know cosine is positive, greater than 0. At the same time, sine is less than 0, a fancy way of saying negative. I want the one quadrant only. This isn't like a 2-quadrant answer. Name the quadrant where cosine is positive, but at the same exact time, sine is negative. It only happens in one quadrant. And what quadrant is that? Cosine is positive at the same time, sine is negative in the same exact quadrant. Where am I? 10? Any? Quad 4. Yep. Everyone all right? Why? C for cosine, everything else negative. And then next one, 12. Sine's positive and cosine positive, both at the same time. $11.
Quad 1.
Quad 1. Only happens in one quadrant. Every time else it might be negative. All right, any comments, questions? Because now I'm going to get real fired up. These next three problems basically put the last 3 or 4 class days all into one. All right, all into one. Find the value of sine of 300. Oh, I know what we're going to do too. Oh, here we go. Let's grab my calculator and do sine 300. And there's your answer. You know how I feel about that from Friday. I don't want that hot garbage written down on your paper. I want radicals, fractions, or both written down. I do not want decimals. You know that. So we need to figure out, other than using our calculator, what's the value of sine of 300. Step 1, know the quadrant you're in. What quadrant am I in? 4. And I'm finding sine. So tell me something about your final answer here. Quadrant 4, and I'm finding sine. Positive or negative, my final answer? Negative. So what I'm going to do first is just put a negative sign there that says, hey, my answer is going to be negative. I'm going to keep sine. And now I'm going to make 300 a little smaller because I don't know what the point is on the unit circle at 300, right? I have no idea what that point is at 300. But I do know it's going to be the same as its what? Nick? Reference angle. So now let me go back to that problem. 300 has a reference angle of 60. Everyone with me so far? The negative came because it's in the 4th quadrant, and the 60 became from its reference angle. All right, what is the point at 60? What is my point at 60 degrees on the unit circle? And again, I can't give you a cheat sheet tomorrow on the quick quiz. 1/2 radical 3 over 2. And now let's go to Friday. Which one of those coordinates do I want if I'm finding the sine? Do I want the x or the y coordinate? We're done. Radical 3 over 2, but I got to remember to put what with it?
Negative.
Because we're in the 4th quadrant and we're finding sine. I got to make sure I put the negative there. Now, do you have 20 seconds to spare? Do you have 20 seconds to spare? Darn right you do. You're not going anywhere. Everyone go to their calculator now and do sine of 300. Probably less than 20 seconds. Everyone see that sloppy decimal that's on your calculator? Now check your answer. I think the answer is negative radical 3 over 2. Type in negative radical 3 over 2. And you know you're right. Because they match. So take that 20 seconds and check it every time. Okay? Questions? All right, one doesn't make you great, as you know. It makes me great. No, it doesn't. Okay, cosine 210. Know the quadrant you're in. Where am I? 210. 11. What quad am I in?
Quad 3.
What do you know about cosine in the 3rd quadrant from today's discussion?
It's negative.
Darn right it is. Negative cosine. Get me the reference angle for 210. Give me the reference angle for 210. 10?
30.
30? Give me the point on the unit circle at 30. Right? Because that's why I made it smaller, so I could get it on the unit circle. What's the point at 30? 2? And remember, I just flipped the 60 I had, right? Nice and easy. All right, I'm finding the cosine. So which one do I need now? The x or the y coordinate off of this if I'm finding the cosine? 2. I need the radical 3 over 2. And I just got to remember, I put negative there. And make sure I check. And this is also why you have to check. You've got to check your answer. Because the most common mistake is students leaving the negative off. And you will see you left the negative off if you check. When you type in cosine 210, you'll have a negative answer, but darn it, your answer is not negative, so that I got to put the old negative sign on. We doing all right? All right, next up. I don't care where we are in this unit. I never like negative angles. Suggestion to change this before I start?
360.
Yep, add 360. I'm never going to be a big fan of negative angles. So add 360, and now we're dealing with cosine of 330 degrees. I feel a lot more comfortable dealing with the positive ones. All right, what quad? 4. Quad 4. What do we know about cosine in quad 4? 13 from today's discussion, maybe tomorrow. Oh, you're going to take that too? Sure.
I don't even know. Honestly, I think my number was 13.
I think I'm 14 and Howie's 15.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Specify.
Okay. You're going to answer now?
I can answer it.
What'd
I
you
said
say?
Positive.
Oh, okay. Relax. Relax. Watch your tone. So, and look, do I need to put the plus? No, but if it helps you remember, fine. Cosine, positive cosine of reference angle for 330. 1,
30.
30. I won't ask this because we just went over it, what the point was at 30. And which one do I want? The x or the y coordinate in this problem? 9? X. So my final answer, radical 3 over 2, positive. If you want to put, again, if you want to put it there, fine. If not, you guys know it's still correct. And again, check it on your calculator. Cosine negative 30, same as radical 3 over 2. Any issues here? Because I'm going in a little bit different direction for the last two problems. Anything here? Know the quadrant. Tells you if your answer should be positive or negative. And if you check your answer, you should be fine. So we're good. All right, last thing. I showed you guys, and we reviewed earlier on the unit, our good old friend Pythagorean theorem, right? A squared plus B squared equals C squared, right? There's another version of it using sine and cosine. I won't give you the history or where it comes from because I know you don't care. So we'll save ourselves that. But the version of it is the following right here. Cosine all squared plus sine all squared equals 1. Okay, that's the version we're going to be using. And remember, theta just means an angle. So let's apply it now. Ooh, what was that symbol again from Friday?
Alpha.
Alpha, yep, alpha. Same as theta. Okay, let's not get freaked out. Same as theta. What quad are we in? In this problem? My terminal side falls where? Second. Please remember that. I'm going to come back to that at the very end of the problem, see if anybody picks up on it, that we're in the second. We know the sine of alpha is 3/5. What's the cosine of alpha? Okay, we're going to use this formula. Cosine, I'll do it over here. Instead of theta, is that no one's going to freak out if I put alpha instead? Plus sine alpha squared equals 1. Where's the 3/5 going? Okay, hey, the 3/5 is going in for the entire thing. Not sine of 3/5. No. It's, what do I plug right in that parenthesis? 3/5. The sine, I'm plugging it in for all of it. The sine of alpha is 3/5, so I substitute it in. And you guys are going to help me find cosine alpha. All right, who's got the algebra skills here, huh? 3/5 squared. What's the calc telling you? 3/5 squared? 9 over 25. All right. How do I move next step?
Minus 9/25.
Get the 9/25 out of there. Subtract it. Minus 9 over 25. Anybody have that fraction?
16.
16 over 25? Yep. All right, keep in mind what we're solving for. Cosine alpha. But I got that squared there, though. I almost have cosine alpha by itself, but I got that squared there. How do you get rid of squareds in this part of town? Take the square root of both sides, yeah. So the squared's gone. Cosine alpha equals take the square root in your calculator. What do you end up with? 4 over?
4 over 5.
Okay. But we got a problem.
Negative.
I wish it was, just this easy, plug it in and go, right? When you got, and we never talk about this, you never think about it. Like when I say the square root of 25, everyone's going to chime in with 5. But do you remember too, there is another answer. You get positive 5 and negative 5. Remember that when you took the square root, you always get a positive and a negative. And the same thing here. You're going to get positive 5/4 and negative 5/4. This is where you got to be on your game and read the problem. Let's go back to the beginning. I asked you, what quad are we in? Second. What did we just find?
Like dax value.
Or cosine, right? Yeah, we're in the second quadrant, and we found cosine. From our discussion today, what should our answer be then? Cosine in the second quadrant is negative. So just putting 4/5 is incorrect. 4/5 is incorrect. It's got to be negative 4/5. Are we seeing why? I'm in the second quadrant, and cosine is negative. That's going to catch a lot of people. Second quadrant, cosine's negative, so is my answer. One more. All right, we're back to theta. What quad are we in now? First. So, hey, this might help you. If it helps you, because some of you might forget that negative up above, if it helps you here, first quadrant, what do you know about everything in the first quadrant? So even if off to the side you want to write yourself a reminder, answer positive, it's up to you. All right, you want, hey, I'm in the first quadrant. Everything's positive, so my answer should be positive. All right, let's do it. Sine, actually, it's cosine, right? Cosine theta squared plus sine theta squared equals 1. Where's the 1/3 going? In for the whole thing. All right, too many times I see this. Cosine 1/3. No, it's the whole thing is 1/3. The whole thing is 1/3. There you go. Plug it in. Now go to your calc. $14 when you're ready. 1/3 squared. 1/9. Next step, to get sine theta by itself, 1. Well, I'm not there yet. I got to get rid of the 1/9. Got to get rid of the 1/9. And then remember, that's a theta, not a 0, right? That's theta, so we want to leave that alone. So subtract your 1/9. All right, everybody. So I'm left with sine theta on this side. 1 minus 1/9 on the other side. When you're ready. 10. 8 over 9. I'm almost there. Still not by itself, though. What do I still need to do on both sides? 2. Take the square root. Okay, now there's going to be a problem that didn't happen in the last one. What are you seeing on your calculator right now?
Decimal.
Hot garbage decimals, right? Which I don't need, and the directions even say simplest radical form. So let's go back to our algebra days. Here you go, sine theta. Let's talk, because I know I can't write down that decimal that's on my calculator. Everyone see how you have a big square root here? You can change that into 2 smaller ones over each number. This right here is the same as taking the square root of 8 over square root of 9. Why would that help us out? Anybody on the bottom here? Square root of 9, Dylan?
Multiply by 3.
I don't need to multiply in this case. What,
Oh.
square root of 9?
Oh, 3.
There. Right? And I can have a radical on the numerator. That's fine. So I'm going to leave it just like that. I remind myself the answer is positive. Now, let me go back to Dylan's point because I think this will happen on the assignment. If I did this, then yes, I would need to multiply top and bottom by the radical if it's not a perfect square. All right. Okay, Chromebooks are out. Open up the answer key. I think we're on day 11. And start the assignment on the next page. Let me know if questions pop up. So quick quiz tomorrow. All